DJ Event Planner, Electra Voice, DJ Trivia and DJ Bingo, ProX Direct, NLFX Pro, Promo Only, Odyssey Cases, Perfect Portals, JMOZ Lighting, Instant DJ Requests, and our DJ NTV Insiders. This is John Young from DJ NTV. Thanks for watching.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Hanging Out with Howie. We were having a little bit of fun before this recording started, but
never fun here. Come on.
Well, the panel's too big, but just you know everybody here, and welcome and thank you guys for being here. And I'm so glad you're here. Because of the topic I'm going to bring up, because I am not the smartest guy in the room, so I'm in the right room. And what I want to talk about first,
not us,
and it's charity versus nonprofit, because it's the season. Actually, it started 4 months ago when I was contacted. And you all know that my market is like the third richest county in the whole country. And like you look at the kids' parking lot at the high school and then their Lexuses and BMWs and use shit like that, right? And they contacted me, would I do a fundraiser for them? And so I said, sure. I said, what type of event is this? So, we're going to do an outside, thing. And so I gave them a price and they go, oh, no, we're a nonprofit. We were hoping that you would donate your services. And I went, I'm sorry, but you're not a charity. It's a nonprofit. And I'm going to give everybody a chance to go around the room. And then at the end, I'm going to drop a gold nugget on how I got paid. So who wants to go first? What do you think? Charity versus nonprofit?
I don't know. For some reason, I feel like Bill should go first because he's pretending to be a lawyer and understanding this stuff. So why don't we let Bill go first?
He stayed at a Holiday Inn. He mentioned in the comment section there.
Yes, I did. I read up on all the. I took my bar exam there.
You're official.
Yeah. So
I'm taking a bar exam right now.
Exam in a bar. It's a nightly exam.
Water.
So obviously.
Well, even though it's non-alcoholic, I'll salute you anyway.
Okay, there we go. Drinks.
Nobody said mega seg.
Did he say road dog?
No, didn't get that either. We obviously, the easiest thing is just define one over the other, but the client is, often in their own misconception. But it is funny to see even when DJs have this topic on the various Facebook groups, everybody has a different opinion, and 99% of the time they're all wrong. But
really, imagine that.
I know. The simple thing is, a charity is, the American Cancer Society is a nonprofit, but an event for someone who has cancer. And we're raising money for that person's battle with cancer. That's a charity. I think that's kind of the easiest way to just simplify that. Mm-hmm. If you want to donate your services to either, you're more than welcome to do so. You just can't write that off.
Mm-hmm. Is that in English?
I think you can't take the tax write-off for you can't declare your value $1,000 and take a tax write-off for providing those services to either the American Cancer Society or Bob's prostate cancer fundraiser.
Oh, poor Bob.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
All right, who's up next? Oh, Eric, you must get a lot of requests, with your big production company.
We've got our hands in everything, and it really is a gray area between, for me, but I've kind of ruled it that if anybody's getting paid, then I think that I should get paid as well. So, I guess let me explain that a little bit. So if a guy's coming in and he's not donating his food, but he's selling his food and giving a percentage to the group or something along that line, guy's selling T-shirts, but he's giving the proceeds, then I feel that we should be able to get something as well. Certainly at a reduced price to make it so that they can benefit from our services. But if it's total volunteer across the board, then if I can do it and it's a worthwhile group, then I will do it for nothing. For instance, they do the Special Olympics torch run, and I will always volunteer my time for that. Then there's another group that they may be doing a gala to raise money for a new wing at the local museum or something. Then I feel that we should be getting a little compensation. So
I agree. All right, who's up next? Jay, you keep raising your hand. Go ahead. You got your 3 minutes.
All right, here we go real quick. 1, donate your time to whatever you believe in that you want to donate your time to.
Right.
2, every time I've been called with 501c nonprofits,
right,
we're a charity, we're doing this, we're doing that. The way I've always worked it is I have a fee for that, and it's 50% of what I normally would charge you. And if you would like, and I've had a couple of companies do this, we'll pay you a check for your entire fee. So let's say the fee is $2,000, but I'm going to charge them $1,000. They'll write me a check for $2,000, and then I'll write them a check for $1,000. And that way I get the write-off and I get paid. Because what I've done is I've said, I'm going to do the event for $1,000. The people are smart enough to figure out if they pay me $2,000 and I give them back $1,000, I got paid, they get paid, I get the write-off, everybody wins. But as far as I'm concerned, unless it's really close to your heart, like Eric's saying about the Special Olympics torch run, and that was why I did the 24-hour set last October. I was going to donate my time for free to a local charity that dealt with breast cancer, but I'm like, everyone there is getting paid. And by the way, if you don't know, and I know this through my father-in-law, he was the CEO and president of a nonprofit. At the time in the late 90s, his salary was $475,000 a year, but he ran a nonprofit.
Yeah.
So don't think nonprofit don't make money. Nonprofit pays their people. They may not
raise that
money, but there are salaries to the individuals running and the people running the American Cancer Society. I think they make like $1.7 million a year for their CEO. I looked it up. That's how I figured out, who to donate to. I'm done.
Yeah,
that was well under 3 minutes.
75%.
Look at Brian. Look at Brian.
Yeah, I'm heavy. Yeah. Yeah. I'm all done, Road Dog. Oops.
Oh, Road Dog.
There's that shot. Clang.
Clang.
I'll take one. My experience with it, I never had to work with the nonprofit, but as far as charitable, I did MDA for a lot of years, and they were insistent on paying. And it was like the final day, so it would have been the Sunday, the Labor Day weekend. It was 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. the final timpani or whatever when they did the totals. But I never ran into any situations where I had to chase it or backpedal or and figure out logistics. It was just like, it's going to be X amount. And I was just like, it's a cause that I believe in. So I gave them a discounted rate and they paid fine and they had no questions about it. So.
All right. The best for last.
I don't know if I'm the best. I'm not an attorney. I don't play one on TV.
Have you ever stayed at a Holiday Inn?
Unfortunately, yes.
Well, then you're qualified.
Okay. Well, then thank you. This is how I always think of it. I think of it like this. A charity is exactly what Bill said, is exactly what Eric said, where it's, okay, Susie needs a new organ. So we need to raise money for Susan's organ. We're having a bake sale. That's a charity. Okay. Nonprofit, I think of it, and maybe I'm wrong because I'm not an attorney and I'm not giving legal advice here. Nonprofit is a tax designation for an organization. So, and much like Jay said, it doesn't mean no one's getting paid. What it means is after the bills are paid, the profit goes to a designated charity of some kind. So the person who's calling you and like trying to almost hustle you, like someone begging for change, saying things like, "Oh, but we're a nonprofit." It's like, my reply to that is, "Oh, so you don't get paid? And you don't pay for goods and services?" Well, I'm not a nonprofit and I get paid for goods and services, but guaranteed that person's getting a check. And there is no charity being given from that organization until they turn a profit above and beyond their expenses.
Right.
And the more money that
Great point.
a nonprofit can generate from, like, let's say an event. Let's say they're having, I don't know, just hypothetically speaking, a car show. Okay. The more money they can generate from that event, the more the person running the nonprofit can show that he can generate, the more valuable he is. He can raise his price. Hey, look, I'm bringing in this much money, so I'm worth more now.
Like a grant writer.
Don't let that pull on your heartstrings, folks. Nonprofit's a tax designation. The guy who's calling you, the woman who's calling you and saying, "Yeah, but we're a nonprofit," they're getting paid. The other thing is, much like Jay had said, and this is how I do it, not an attorney, don't get legal advice, but if somebody says, "Hey, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to donate." I charge, I don't know, let's say I charge $1,000 for my services. However, what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to donate $200 to your cause. So I'm only going to charge you $8. And I just write that into the contract. Price $1,000 minus donation of $200, total $800.
It's a good way to write it.
And
Good
that's
way.
all I got to
Perfect
say
way.
about that.
All right.
Howie, I'm sorry. Just before you give the nugget, for those that run into this down the road, charitynavigator.org and charitywatch.org actually rate charities, and it tells you in the rating how much of the money they get goes towards the cause they represent.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's a great way to figure out.
Dollar you give. Yes.
Right. And it's a great way to figure out if you're making a donation, but also if you're a business and you want to give time to something. If you see they're giving 10 cents on the dollar to the cause of cancer,
That's a no.
maybe that's a cause that you don't want to back versus one that's giving 75 cents on the dollar. Just a quick heads up. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Cool.
You. Go ahead.
No,
No
good point.
problem. And that's a great point. And it's so easy, like you said, to look it up online and see how much of your dollar is actually going to help the people they supposedly are trying to help. And you
might
would
be surprised.
You would be very surprised. Like Goodwill, they only give 10 cents out of every dollar they get. But then again, you've got the top one, which is Salvation Army, which I
got to stand up for Goodwill. I have to. I got personal experience with this.
I understand about, that I get that because
they're taking care of my kid. They've given him, I've given him job training. They've given him job placement, any assistance he needs. So yeah, although they're making a lot of money. I think, was it Gopher from the Love Boat is running it?
Well, but
isn't that who's doing it?
I have.
Is he really?
I think so.
I have.
He was a senator at one point,
with
or a congressman.
Goodwill as well. And what they do though is when they take these people in, they evaluate their skills and how many clothes they can sort in an hour, blah blah blah, and they actually get subsidized by the government.
Oh sure, but nobody else is doing it. Luis didn't even.
They're not really, in my mind, Just my opinion. They're not totally.
No, it's okay. I just,
but they're helpful. They're helpful.
I'm benefiting from Goodwill. My family's benefiting from Goodwill. My son's benefiting from Goodwill. He's intellectually about 6, and he's been going there since high school was over. And it's a big deal that he's in there. They give him great training. There's a huge facility he goes to, and they, the stuff they teach him is pretty cool. I mean, for his skill set. Yeah, I mean, everything from light manufacturing to buffing floors. He's now working at a pizza place. Like they brought him in to wipe tables because they figure, well, that's all he can do. No, he's in the kitchen making dough every day. He comes home looking like a Coke Lord with stuff all over him, and he loves it. It's Mod Pizza. It's like a cool chain pizza place.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I gotta just say a nice thing about Goodwill.
Somewhere there's a human out for money. Let's face it.
But it is.
They all have their good aspects. They all do.
And their CEO makes a lot more than what Jason.
And I think it's Golfer from the Love Boat.
Just like Chrissy from Three's Company.
But now
Fred Grandy, is that the name we're looking for?
Wasn't he a congressman?
Yes, he was.
Yeah. All right. Now I'm gonna tell my experience in a very short. I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. Is that this high school in the 3rd richest county in the whole United States came to me and said, do this. And I was like, well, what's this for? And like I said, they have Lexuses and BMW. These are the kids in the school parking lot. And they're raising money for their class trip to Disney World. And they want me to DJ for free. And I said, well, you're not a charity. They go, but we're a nonprofit. And I said, well, here is how I got paid. I said, apparently, obviously some of your parents or someone and certainly you can make phone calls and knock on doors with all these huge corporations. We have the headquarters for MetLife, everything else around there. I said, why not go to one of these big corporations or even Walmart? Walmart has a fund for this sort of thing, and ask them, hey, would you like to sponsor the music for our event? And they went, well, we never thought of that. They made a few phone calls. They called me back. I got paid.
We run into a lot of that up here as well.
Yeah.
Our rugby tournament, like this year, I said, well, we want to have the video wall. We want to have the final game up on the screen for Sunday's championships. And I go, find a sponsor. Find somebody who wants to put their logo on the bottom corner of that screen. So yeah, you're right. Find somebody who wants some publicity and do some good at the same time.
That's a great nugget, Howie. It really is. Because I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
So, and I certainly will use that in the future when I run into this.
It works.
Yeah. No, it totally works. I live near a bunch of casinos. They are desperate to sponsor things. I mean, when my wife was at the newspaper in San Diego, every Monday she got a call from 4 casinos. You guys got anything you need sponsored? They didn't care. They didn't care.
Well,
could have been anything. They would have thrown money at it.
Getting a tax write-off too,
right?
Everybody's saying, "Oh, we'll charge them $2,000 and they'll donate money back and then write it off." Well, wait a minute. Get the car dealership, the BMW car dealership that their kids have parked in the parking lot at the school. Get them to send something in and write it off.
The other thing is, I think it's important for everyone to realize, if you're a professional, people expect that you're going to charge them something. I know we're talking about charities and nonprofits wanting a deal, but if you come in the doors with a fee, I did an event 2 weeks ago. I ended up playing music for 25 minutes, having microphones available for a high school graduation for 55 minutes, played 2 songs, and the organizer told me to stop. That was $1,000 gig from
Wow.
1 to 3 in the afternoon. I ended up playing from 12:45 to like 2:07. And they had no issue. They were like, "We need your card. We need you to come back for this next year." This was the smoothest we've had it. I'm like, "Great. Here you go." Because they understand things cost money. Has anyone seen the price of a book in college these days?
Right.
Books are like $200, $150. Everyone knows things cost money. Don't go in the door going, "I'm a DJ and I'll charge you $300 for your charity." No, you charge your standard fee and then negotiate
Right.
maybe and say, "Well, I can do this or I can do that." Or maybe the job's not for you.
Well, the only charity that I'll do for free is a charity that gives 100% of the money to the actual cause.
Sure.
And that is in honor of my mother. And there's and it's not a national like cancer society where there's a CEO making a $1 million or something. It was a grassroots thing here in town, and they went, "Hey, it's 100% of the money's going to cancer," and I was like, "Okay, I'm in for that."
Sure.
So anyway,
Golfer was the CEO and president of Goodwill for about 5 years.
Wow.
oh,
And I
Not now,
guarantee
he was
that paid well. I mean, if my father-in-law was making almost half
more
a
than
million
Love Boat.
in 99, 2000, he was there for 3 years. And I think it was, when he left, it was $500,000 a year he was making. And it's a famous nonprofit that all of you know.
Didn't he sing the Love Boat theme song? Or was
No.
it a different song you sang? He sang a different song. That's right.
Different song.
Different song. Okay.
Yeah.
He could have
All right.
sang the Love Boat theme song.
No, he couldn't have because he was a tenor. He was a tenor. And that was sung by a bass. That's really bad that you even say that. I can't, you know what? Don't start a YouTube channel. That's my advice.
Alone.
I can't believe he actually knows that.
They'll put a band together.
Don't.
You
Yeah.
can hear it in your head.
Sorry.
Even.
is it-
Just like I use speaking mics only, not singing mics at all my events. I had to
Right.
tell somebody the other night, "Hey,
Yeah.
my daughter does a great karaoke of Sweet Caroline." And you think, I go, "I'm so sorry. I wish I'd known that. I only brought speaking mics tonight."
right?
Really?
There's
Seriously?
another of the night.
I go, the mid frequencies are terrible. I go, "She could try, but she'll sound terrible." Nobody wants to sound just like telling a woman, like, "You could wear that dress, but you'll look fat." Oh,
Howie likes it neat. You're going to get me going, and we're going to have problems.
Actually, maybe it's time to pick on Brian.
No, don't pick on me.
I don't know. He's suddenly in love with the Love Boat cast, like there's no tomorrow.
I'm just saying, golfer.
Love Boat. See, that's a bass voice.
Well, I called you you were rendering a video, and I called you.
Yeah, like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, well, you were right there, and it wasn't that late, was it?
That's how it's 8
my
a.m.
time. Yeah, it was. No, 3
But maybe it was. But then again, we're DJs. We don't.
Sure.
You even made this statement. I don't get up until noon. What are you doing calling me?
Right.
And I'll make an apology publicly because I'd made it to you, or I made a
Which one?
comment on your video, and I made 2, and they were funny because it was like 50-50, like, "Oh, it looks great to me," and others were like, and I happen to know the one person that says, "My only criticism is your wire management and this and that," and I'm like, who the heck is that? I mean, who do you think you are? I mean, who do you think you're talking to? Because I know the guy lives like less than a half hour from me. And in any event, I decided No, I used my better judgment and I made a joke about it instead. And it got so many responses. And then I did hashtag nobody cares but except for other DJs, and that one exploded.
The hashtag should probably be only other DJs care. That would probably be the
Yeah,
hashtag.
that would I'm not
Start a new one.
I'm not a wordsmith. That's Lori's department. But in any event, I just thought, like, I looked at the picture. It's like, wait a minute, like he's setting up. I just felt like, wait a minute, when you did put the lights on, you couldn't see any of the flaws that this guy was talking about, wire management, and
point of reference.
Was this that corner picture with the ape labs behind you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
what was his issue?
He said that he said that was bad wire management. I didn't.
The top? That rat's nest of wires that's up on the top?
That he
No, there was actually no rat's nest, and behind him. Okay, now leave this up for just a second. Now here it is with lights. Now, if you look over to the left is the gift table. So people are only going to go there once.
And they're going to see that case he's got behind the speaker stand. Oh my gosh.
It ruins everything.
And then wait, now to the right, there's only that one table. If anybody comes up to make a request, they're going to either go from right up to the front on this riser. And I've been on many of these. They're 2 8x4 sheets of plywood. Is
dumb risers.
Yeah, they're dumb.
The dumb risers. But I would have done the exact same setup and put the speakers back there so it's not a trip hazard.
I didn't know what else to do.
Do you know what my only thought when I saw this, Howie, was? Not wires. My honest to God thought, and maybe
Where's
it's a
the stuff?
discussion. No. You didn't get any feedback from the speakers?
No.
Yeah.
Well,
No.
Oh my God, Jay, really? Holy shit. That was one of the comments that was the funniest.
That's what I
ever.
thought.
Awesome.
It was like, you don't know wait a minute. How long have you been a DJ? You don't know gain structure or how to set up a system?
Yeah, despite using a Pioneer mixer, I was not getting feedback.
I can take my microphone and hold it right up to the speaker and there won't be any feedback.
Well, I can tell you that 90% of the DJs I know wouldn't run their speakers behind them because they're afraid of feedback.
For sure.
So either we don't know gain structure,
You don't.
or it's a topic that's not. I always have mine to the side of me. So in an example like his, I would have pushed myself back and put the speakers directly next to me or a foot in front of me.
It's the responsible thing to do. Yes, but I tested it.
And when I saw them in the back, I'm like, that's really cool. And I've seen other DJs do that, and I'm like, wait a second. I like this. It's getting better spread, but I'm going to get feedback the second I get on the mic.
No, you won't if you set it up right. But
you can't have a mid-heavy system and expect no feedback. But if you are responsible with your mid-range and you do a good gain structure of not going above 0 dB anywhere, either on the speakers themselves or on the mixer, you're not going to be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a few tricks that we learned from experience because we're old.
Electric voices.
We do, but here's the point, Howie. You know them.
Wait, before you go on, Jay. Here's the funny part is the first one that made the comment about, my criticism is this, which was wire management. I'm like, wait, he's not even done setting up. You don't see the lighting yet, and things are black, and then everything disappears.
Right.
He's the same guy that said, wait a minute, how do you not get feedback with the speakers behind you? He's the same guy. And that's when I said, wait a minute, how is it that you're a wire management expert, but you don't know how to prevent feedback?
But I think it's a common thing.
The criticism I have on that, just if anybody cares to hear what I have to say on this, is that, and this is the bottom line. I think that most DJs out there are worried about the wrong crap. This guy is so hyper-focused on cable management, yet he hasn't even bothered to figure out gain structure. Right. You know what? Maybe that's not the most important thing you do.
Well, you're proving my point that I've had for 20 years, which is the biggest enemy of the DJ is the DJ.
Well, social media.
I'm dead serious. The biggest enemy that I have, any market, any event, is another DJ because they want that event or they're critiquing the way I do what I do. Hey, whether I'm at a show or not, I can't tell you the number of calls I get or messages I get. hey man, can you help me out? And I look at the name and I do a little back research and I realize it's somebody that slammed me before.
Yep.
And I'm just like, you know what, bro? I'd go here. That's as much as you get versus the guys that I give 20 minutes on the phone going, hey, try this, try that. I had 2 guys last week. I'm just up front. Tip me on Venmo. And you know both of them. They were like, I gave them both about 15, 20 minutes of my time. Next thing I know is I'm getting Venmo hits like, you got this much money in Venmo from this guy. It's like, and I hit him up. I'm like, for what? They're like, dude, you fixed the problem. Now, when you say game structure, I use a microphone. I've done 40 some odd events this year. That's just this year. And yet I wouldn't dare put my speakers behind me because my fear is always I'm going to hit that spot where they crash and I'm suddenly in a feedback loop.
You have to figure out where that spot is. And if you want me to help you with...
No, I want to learn. I'm going to hit you up off the show and be like, hey, Brian, let me know. Because I would love to have the speakers behind me because I think it would be great to know they're planted against a wall and they're not going to get knocked over. They're not going to be 20 feet away in in the middle of the room.
Well, a lot of the comments were you should have put them up front, but then you'd have one leg that people could.
You got a trip hazard. Mm-hmm.
Brian did the smart, elegant thing, and once it got dark and the lights were there, in my opinion, it looked beautiful, and because of his experience, he can do that because how many times you better know or learn how to get proper gain structure, because if you give a microphone to someone that's doing a toast, it's happened to me. I look them right in the eye and say, you have to hold the microphone up to your face, and please don't walk in front of the speaker. It can cause feedback. And they'll look you right in the eye and go, yes, okay, I got it.
And they go right to the speaker and right to their stomach.
Stand right in front of the speaker. So what did I do? I had to learn.
Kill the mix.
I'm not going to change people, but I can change my system so that it doesn't feed back when these knuckleheads stand in front of the speaker.
Well,
there was a company at NAMM that sold a device that wraps around your microphone right under the top. It's got a piece of almost like aluminum or something with a little ball on the end of it. And this guy's company is based on, he's a mobile DJ. He was at NAMM with a booth, and it's called like Mic Test or something. I don't even know. I looked at it, I wrote it off initially, but then afterwards somebody went and talked to him. He uses it at every event, and he tells everyone, when this touches your chin, you're good to talk. If this is off your chin, you could sound bad. And he's trained everybody at his events to put this thing on his chin. And I think I told you guys, I've used a mic stand for like going on 2.5 years. My toasts are 100 times better because I tell them the mic's not moving. If you move, you won't be heard. And they realize, oh, I have to stand here. That's the biggest challenge we've had since the dawn of time.
I'd be happy to do more videos on the microphone thing and no feedback, but there was a lot more to that video, Howie.
Yeah,
there was a lot of stuff going on there to cover here to just stay on the microphone thing for too long.
But it was actually funny. It really was. It was just like, I'm like,
I wasn't thinking about it until you brought it up to me, and then
I was actually wondering. And you were right. A lot of them are knuckleheads, and I'm like, are these guys trying to just, are they trying to punk you, or are they really?
Well, I don't know. I think what happens is,
or are they dumb?
It happens with it seems to happen more with younger people than we're adults in the room. Jay, I know for a fact that Jay has never claimed to know it all. Jay is always asking questions. Jay has asked me questions constantly. Howie, you've asked me questions because I've asked both of you questions.
Yes.
We don't know it all, but I think there's a certain type of personality out there that feels like they need to have the answers. And they also need to defend what they do. They need to defend their actions. And if you're doing something different than what they're doing, they get defensive and they'll tell you you're wrong and they're right. One thing that was killing me, just killing me. And I made a snarly comment about it because I saw it coming. When I showed the picture of it, I said, look, I don't want to offend any of you sub-worshippers.
I saw that.
Worshippers?
Yes,
Yeah, I saw that.
yeah.
Jay and I have talked about this in great length.
Oh my God. Yes.
Where we need to have the hot spot on the dance floor and conversation areas in the rest of the room.
Yep.
If you've got a boomy system, you're going to disturb those conversation areas.
Yes.
I bought a $500 sub because of Brian. I bought an EV ZLXA1 12-inch sub
That's what I
and
have.
ran it under my table with
Under
two
my table,
15-inch
that's what I did.
JBL
Yeah.
PRX 615s. Solely based on Brian and I talked, and I said, dude, I don't want chest pounding. What I want is a fuller sound. He's like, dude, this EV ZLXA1, it's a 12-inch. It's not that heavy. You put it under the table. You match it up to the tops. I know they're 15s. They're a little bassy, but this will really give you that push through, but it won't kill everything around the dance floor so grandma can still talk to mom 10 feet off the dance floor. And that's been my motto for, God, 10 plus years. Like, and when if you want to win a bride and groom, sit down at a meeting, go to Zoom, get on the phone, and make this one of the first things you ever say. You know what? I'm big on you guys having a great time. I want everyone to hear the toasts. I want everyone to hear some cocktail, maybe some dinner. But when it comes to dancing, I really want to focus on the dance floor. I want your mother and grandmother to be able to talk 10 feet away. And 100% of my clients at the end of the meeting, when I say, do you have any questions? Well, you answered our biggest concern immediately. Oh, what was that? My mom's like, please tell me he's not going to be really loud. We went to a wedding and it was so loud. But you already addressed that 10 seconds into the meeting. I'm telling you, no one's going to say you weren't loud enough. They're never going to say that.
Comfortable.
They're never going to say that. No.
Two things that I will say here. First of all, to Jay's point, I got an unsolicited, from the father of the bride towards the end of the night. Hey, you know what? I really appreciate the volume. It wasn't too loud. But my niece's wedding 6 months ago, the next day I was hoarse. I'm not going to have that problem tomorrow. Thank you for not blowing our heads off. That was an unsolicited compliment. If I had brought a subwoofer, do you think anybody would have come up to me and said, hey, I really appreciate that bass. Thank you so much.
It's all about the bass.
Right. Now, I had people critiquing the light show, but not everyone. This is a minority of people. There were people who were critiquing the light show because I didn't have stuff on a pole shooting at the audience. They said, you're not creating wash. Well, of course I'm creating wash. You can see it in the video.
Of course you were.
And I'm creating ambience.
Bounce.
What I said was, I'm like, look, I don't bring this up because of the reasons Jay mentioned. I don't do light trees because I don't want to blind anybody. I can create wash, and it's a lot easier to do than it is to set up a light tree. Now, I am disabled, so this all works to my benefit. Okay? It's still true, though. And I didn't really know how true this was until I had to do it out of necessity. And then I saw the positive aspects of it and said, hey, okay, wait a minute. They like it that it's not so loud. They like it that it's not boomy. They like it that lights aren't in their eyes. So it's working out for me. I discovered this by a lot of this stuff by accident.
Yeah, but Brian, you were there back in the day when I wanted to go to a smaller speaker because everyone got scared of the big ones. And you're like, oh, these RCF 10-inch are great. And I'm like, really? And I was going to go buy the 10-inch QSCs and ended up getting a deal through. Well, you had the 12s, but didn't you then go to a 10? At one point, you had 10.
With an FBT,
or FBT.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I noticed everyone around me was running like 4 K8s or 2 K10s with a sub. And I'm like, oh, because I noticed people coming in at a big speaker saying, wow, that looks like it's going to be loud. And I'm like, oh my God, the perception is reality. That's why the Evolve 50s are perfect. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But now, Brian said this before. It's these days people consume music differently. So when he brought that system in, most people are listening with those little tiny headphone things. And then they go and they hear a system like his that didn't even need bass, a bass bin. And they're like, wow, that sounds really good.
People are afraid to try things because they don't want. Let me rephrase this. People don't want to change things in a fear of having a failure. Where I don't give a shit. I will try things because I got balls. I'm going to try it, see if it works. I had to do this out of necessity, but guess what? It
Yeah.
worked. And it turns out it worked better than what I was doing before. I'm explaining this in the video you're talking about, my live stream I did. And in the comment section, I actually had somebody say, it really sounds like you're conflicted here, and you should probably get an assistant so you can tape everything up and put up light trees and bring a subwoofer.
I know, that was funny.
That's not what I said.
Well,
Who's conflicted here? I am not conflicted.
Not conflicted, and you do have big balls, but Lori tells me I have BDE.
The biggest balls of them all?
No.
Oh, I thought we were going to go ACDC on this.
BDE. You have to look it up in the Urban Dictionary.
By the way, I pulled a Brian Friday night. I did a quinceanera that was 175 people in a big Masonic temple hall in a 1905 building. So all wood, big ceiling, the whole deal.
Oh, echo chamber.
And then the day of the event, the father of the quinceanera texts me and he goes, "Hey, bro, we're up to 250. So I show up and I've got the Evolve 50s and I'm on a stage that's about 5 feet, 6 feet, 5 feet above the crowd, behind 3 letters and 2 numbers that are all 4 feet high. So you cannot see me.
Right.
I'm literally in the back.
You know what?
I set up the 250s on the edge of the stage behind the head table, and I have my 10-inch Express, full volume, full master, full channel, set to bass, sitting on the stage next to one of the Evolve 50s, set to booth output. Everyone heard the toast, everyone heard the dances, everyone heard the waltz. Then when it came time for dancing, I reached down to the booth and turned it up.
Yes.
What a little tiny, because even the guy that I did it for, actually, Brian, you know him, Cyrus.
Yeah.
From Pioneer. Used to be with Pioneer and he left a few years ago.
Yeah, sure.
It was his daughter. So he comes up on stage and he's like, "Dude, sounds awesome. This is all you've got?" Looking at the 2 Evolve 50s, I go, "I have an Express 10 rated at like 2,000 watts, which means 400, sitting on the floor. So it's getting more bass, plus it's set to bass, and I'm controlling it here." I go, "Watch the difference." Turn it off. Still sounded okay. I mean, it sounded good, but it's a huge room. But then when I turned it up, all of a sudden it started hitting. And they danced for 2.5, 3 hours solid.
Nice.
No issue, no problems. Because my fear was I didn't want to make the Evolves louder.
Yeah.
I run everything flat, like you said. Yeah. So they're running the way they came out of the box.
Right.
Except I have mids turned up 1.
You can bring mids up a little bit to throw a little further, sure.
I think it's mids. Whatever you do, Brian, I copied you.
I do a 3 dB cut, but I probably wouldn't do it if I had more people. I'd want more mid to throw further.
But I have the mids. I have everything flat except mids is up. Mids is up mids 1 or 2.
Mids is down.
Oh, then it's down. Whatever you said to do, I was on the phone with you going, "What do I do?"
Yeah,
I did that. So that's how they're set.
3 dB mid cut, yeah.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. Now, I could have said, you know what? Let me bring my PRX 615s. Let me bring both my 15 subs. I'll stack them. And for what? For what? For what end? It's still the same outcome. I had a bunch of kids that wanted to dance to young music with a lot of bass, but I still had a ton of adults. I had more adults than kids.
Right.
They wanted to talk. They haven't seen each other since COVID. You got to think in your head. This isn't a nightclub. Well, you're not washing the room with sound so that no one can speak.
We're doing what we're doing with sound objectives because of our experience.
Right. And we have a goal
that we have for our audience.
Yep.
There are other DJs out there who disagree with us. And you know what?
And that's fine.
That's fine.
But I guarantee you, I'm not going to ringing ears the next day with tinnitus going, "Man, we got to call that guy and have him do my 75th birthday party."
Neither here nor there. Without picking on anybody, I will say this. I'm not going to tell anybody they're wrong for doing what they do.
Right.
So, you know what?
Yeah.
I've got more experience than you. I've been doing this longer than you've been alive. Don't tell me I'm wrong for making the choices that I make because I made them for a reason.
And no, I want them running for bass boss bottoms because the second that person leaves and they regain their hearing, they're going to call me.
And the place is what 115 years old. You're going to try to knock it over with as much vibration as possible. So
No.
you got to bring those things.
90%.
You want to piss off the neighborhood and make sure the police are called for noise violations. So the hall has 2 strikes, and if they get a third, then they have to surrender their liquor license.
Now, I don't want to get in. I don't want to get into the famous like, oh, your events are short. But if somebody comes to me with like, I got a 5-hour wedding, so hour cocktail, hour dinner, then just 3 hours of dancing. How many people? 190. Oh, okay. If you get an hour 45, 2 hours of dancing, you're lucky. Wait, what? The other DJ we talked to said 3 hours. I'm like, no. I said, I'll bet you my career you can't get 3 hours. I'll bet you any amount of money you want. Well, cocktails 5 to 6. Okay. And then you sit down at 6:01 and eat dinner? Yeah. Are you being introduced? Yeah. Okay, so 6:15 you get in the room.
First
And they're going to start serving at 6:30. And there's 175 people, 3 courses. So now it's 7:45 when you're done eating. Maybe 8. Like, I don't want to be that guy, but let's stop living in the like it's all about the DJ who wants to show his cool mixing and scratching crap. It's for the event, not the DJ. Guys, seriously, men and women out there that are DJs, it's not for you. You are there to help assist them in having the day or night they want. Right. It is not your showcase to be the cool one. Mm-hmm. It is not. Get off the whole, look at my lights, look at my sound, look how much I spent.
Look at my
I have a day job making $90,000 a year, so I bought the best of the best. Get over it.
See, I made a Carlin reference in there.
What'd you say?
Get in.
Oh, stuff versus, yeah. So you need a bigger house. When you go to somebody else's house, their stuff isn't stuff. Their stuff is
be a TV show without a Carlin reference.
Yeah, it really wouldn't. It really wouldn't.
This month.
You know,
I have stuff.
Wait a minute. I should go put my silver hat on here because I have no idea how Jay went off on that tangent from the subjects.
He's magic. That's how.
Monday Night Magic.
And another thing.
The other panelists, have you anything to?
Are there people here? My screen just has me on it, so.
And me.
Go ahead.
No, he's like Mr. Conductor in the train yard, which coincidentally was Carlin as well.
Has anybody else seen a squirrel?
I'll throw one thing out real quick.
Let's wrap it up.
I had Saturday off this week. Ask me why.
Cancellation?
Family.
Because the bride got COVID on Thursday night.
No.
1945 in my pocket. Didn't even have to work.
Oh man!
Wow.
I mean, I'm
now, let me ask you: are you pushing it to a new date?
They're from Dallas, Texas. They're a 30-hour drive to me. The only thing
but if they come back to you and say, "Hey, we're going to work it out to get married on September this that you're available," will you push it?
Yeah, for sure. I'll take it.
Yeah.
I feel bad for them. It's not like they broke up.
Fair.
I mean, what do you do?
Right. Yeah. No, feel it.
Oh,
yeah.
That was like, I mean, during COVID, I did that with everybody. I just pushed them off. Even though it hurt me, I pushed them off and rebooked them at other dates. We've talked about this. What were we going to do? We talked about it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I felt integrity said, you can't beat them up too bad.
Work your best to understand that everybody's an opportunity to either make or break your business. Yeah. Because social media has now become a thing whereby one wildfire can be next to impossible to put out.
Sure.
And doing the right thing. And the other thing is this, don't leave voicemails. Make it a text, make it an email, have a paper trail. Don't ever get caught in the switches of, you said you'd give a refund. Where?
Right.
This says that I agreed to push your date forward and retain the fee if you do anything within 12 months. And you agreed by saying, thank you so much. We appreciate that. That's an agreement.
Yep.
All right.
I am a lawyer, by the way.
Hey, that's going to wrap it up for the charity versus nonprofit.
Because that's all we talked about.
Good night, folks.
I want to be the guy or girl that finds this video, who looks at it and goes, yeah, I'm considering opening a charity or nonprofit. What are these guys talking about?
Yeah.
Good night, everybody. Thank you so much. And thank you guys for tuning in.